recording. Okay. All right. So, welcome to the Fearless and Focused panel, Mastermind. So, this one we're doing is survival struggles of working away from home. So, welcome to everybody who is here and to those who will actually catch the replay. All right. So, all of you on here already know me, but on the live here you already know me. But for those of you who don't, my name's Craig from Escape Coaching. They're a transformational coaching service on the Gold Coast here in Queensland. And we offer services to people who are basically wanting to or needing to regain their clarity, direction, momentum, purpose, etc. in life again. So whether they've been affected by injury, relationship, breakdowns, integrating back into mainstream society, or work-related situations, such as working away from home, we work with them to clear blocks, negative emotions, etc., that are creating barriers for them. I'm a certified master practitioner at NLP, timeline therapy, and Kat, who's over here, my wife, she's actually a certified practitioner at NLP and timeline therapy as well. But I'm actually went one step further and master practitioner. I haven't always done this. I used to work in very hands-on manual labour roles as a fitter and turner and a diesel fitter, working away in the mining industry and that. So now I've had my fair share of ups and downs through life. Like I've worked in mining and construction, in transport industry. So I've spent a lot of time working away from home over the years. So I know exactly what it feels like when you're away from all your loved ones and all those special people and pets. Because some people are really pet focused and miss their pets more than anything. So which is good. So and one other thing that I like to tell people, which is, my story, like very relevant to my story. Like I've been through marriage, divorce, an injury 7.5 years ago that changed the course of my life. And while I was going through all that, I had massive traumatic, I'd say traumatic, stressful events when Kat's family all of a sudden turned on me and tried to have me evicted from the family home. And they tried through, firstly, they tried through DOCS, which is Department of Child Services, to have me evicted from the home. When that was failing, they decided to have me arrested and thrown in jail. So that didn't work for them either. So I had my fair share of crap in my life, which really puts a lot of stress and strain on people. So, So everything that we do with Escape Coaching, I've lived, breathed, and experienced personally myself. All right, so moving on from that. So tonight we've got on my panel, like my guest panelist tonight, I've got Tegan from Perth in WA. How are you, Tegan? And CJ from Innisfail in North Queensland. How you going, bud?
Absolutely fantastic.
Cool. Now, I did have a third guest panelist, Chris, but he was unfortunately had some matters arise that he couldn't make it tonight. So that's a bit of a bummer, but we'll soldier on. So, yeah. All right. So basically, the context of this mastermind is, as I said, working away from home, the struggles of working away from home. So basically, working away from home, as we all know, or those who are doing, it's quite possibly one of the toughest situations we can ever be in, whether it be in mining, construction, oil and gas, transport industry. I know, Murray, you work in an industry that takes you overseas. I might just, Kat, can you just jump on and just mute everybody for a moment? So it can be very, very hard for many people. At first, we'll be real, at first, it's great. The freedom, the space, it's great for people. Even the money, like the money people get, it's like, wow. You know, I'm sure even CJ, like I know you've come from transport industry. When you're doing interstate, it's a lot better money than just local work. The money just gets people in. You know, both the one leaving and the one staying at home generally enjoy the breathing room for a while, but then gradually reality creeps in. The hours, like the long hours, the isolation, the distance, it all starts to take its toll. And that's when it starts to hit. And sometimes it hits people very hard. You're away from the people who matter the most. You're missing the moments out you'll never get back. If you've got kids, you're missing your kids' laughter, their first, their chaos, their annoying little habits, the whole box and dice, the quiet connections with your partner, the intimate moments, barbecues and parties, spontaneous drinks with mates and friends, and of course, extended family. So life keeps moving on without you, though, and you often start feeling as if you no longer fit in. And for those who have never actually done any FIFO or working away from home, they never really fully understand what you're going through, though, which it's hard for you because you think everybody will understand what you're going through, but yeah, unless they've been through that situation, they don't. So, but don't get me wrong, like there's some people actually thrive in the solitude and embrace it with both arms, with open arms. But for many, it does wear very thin after a while. As I said before, I know all too well how it feels. I've lived it. I've spent, days, weeks, months away from home, away from those who matters the most. And at first, I was doing interstate driving when my older kids were very young, and then later years I was in the mining industry. So been there, I've experienced it. I know what it's like. Living in camps, the same four walls of dongas, motel rooms, eating what can feel like the same food over and over again in mess halls. It can get a bit much after a while, and it's all on like a rinse and repeat cycle, isn't it? So I know how easy it is to just bury it and brush it off, and just to get on with things, so others don't think you're just whinging and whining all the time. But the truth is, the loneliness, the isolation, the feelings, they're all very, very real. They're all very, very real. And if we don't keep a check on it, I'll eat away at us. They eat away at you. Eat away at your mindset, your relationships, and basically everything around you. And that's why I put this on tonight. And I've got a couple of guest panelists here, because each of us, like myself and both CJ and Tegan, and of course, like other people here, have either been, or I've been in that situation. I'm not anymore, but both Tegan and CJ are currently living it right now. And so this mastermind isn't all just about talking about it all. It's connecting, understanding, finding ways, or offering ways to break through the mental and emotional barriers that come with it, with that way of life. So basically, what we'll talk about on the panel is, and hopefully offer inspiration and some tips and tricks and strategies to help you overcome and understand, and be able to get through those isolating periods, those loneliness periods, and getting through the time away. So, all right, so let's get this underway. So basically how I'm going to do it, I've got a series of questions I'm going to ask the panelists that the three of us will sort of run through and explain. Now, if anyone's got any questions during the time, like I do have after that, I've sort of allocated like a Q&A. So if anyone wants to bring anything up, if you do want to ask anything during the time, by all means, come off mute. It's all very casual. I don't run it real strict and formatted. So like if you've got a question you want to ask any of us during the process, go for it. Just come off mute. Don't worry about putting your hand up and that. I'd rather you just unmute and butt in. So, yeah. All righty. Let's see, we've got another one on. Good evening, Angela. How are you?
Sorry, just trying to come off mute there. Hi
That's all right.
guys, how you doing? Yeah, I
Good.
just CJ, hi. So we've
Oh,
chatted on Instagram.
yes,
So
right. Now I've
and
got
he
it. Yeah.
invited me along. So
No,
here is
very good.
here is an observer. So hoping that I can take some stuff away that sort of
By
help me
all
and
means, by all means, not a
help other
problem.
people really. So yeah,
Yep.
thank you for letting me join.
No problem at all. Not a problem at all. Okay. Righto. So just let me move this around for a moment. Just so I get, sorry. Okay. Now that's a bit better formatted for my screen. All right. So run off with, okay. So first question I've got here. So it's Tegan and CJ, just whoever wants to answer first, just answer these from your own perspective, your own personal views. There's no, yeah. So I ran through with you guys beforehand. So first one's there. What are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have about working away from home that you'd like to clear up, like coming from your particular industries?
All right, I'll go. So I guess one of the biggest ones is that you'll have everything and everyone around you because you're earning good money. You don't, you lose, I think, because you covered it before. You'd lose time with people, situations, everything. It's look, I mean, it's attractive being away from home, but all because of the money. But unfortunately, you give up everything to do with life for that. So, money isn't everything. Something I've learned in the last couple of years, it just doesn't matter how much money you can earn. You can't put happiness. You can't put a dollar figure on happiness.
No, not at all.
Yeah, that's very similar for me too. I've been FIFO both pre and post children. And I think especially going back to work after I had kids, the misconception that I'm up there having a fat time away from the kids because I'm not having to do washing or having to put kids to bed, but you're missing putting your kids to bed. And it's something that as they grow older, you don't get to do.
No, that's it. That's exactly it. And as you say, like as you both said, like the money side of things, and I found too, one of the biggest misconceptions is having that freedom. But people don't realize, they think, oh yeah, it's an easy gig.
Trade-off.
You're away from home, but it is very, very hard. As you say, like that's time you don't get back with your loved ones. But when you're isolated, like when you're in a place that's like you might be hundreds of kilometers away from anywhere else from the nearest town, you might not have any phone service or poor phone service. Like I know I was at one mine site in Queensland, and in the camp was right next to right on the edge of the mine, but in the camp at night, you're seeing everyone walking around with their phone. This is going back, probably about 10, 12 years. So everyone's looking for that spot where they had service. And there was probably two spots they had service, and you got about 30 people crammed in this little area trying to talk to their family at home, and as I said, that was in Queensland. That wasn't outback Queensland. That was in the Bowen Basin, so central Queensland. And yeah, just you get things like that. You just isolate, you get the loneliness, it's like, yeah, and it's time you never get back. And people get all the starry eyes. Oh, money, yeah, I'll get to work half a year or 2/3 of the year, I get all this time off. But yeah, sort of.
It's all relative though too. Like you start earning the money that mining and other industries offer, and you tend to live to that money. So you don't actually feel any better off, even with a larger paycheck. You've generally got a larger mortgage or a more expensive car, kids in private school and other things. It all adds up, and at the end of it, you're probably just as well off as any other person savings wise.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's it. So, All right. As I said, these questions, I've just got a list of questions here. They're all random. So, there we go. So the loneliness and isolation can be major struggles, as we've discussed there, as I ran through earlier. What are some strategies or methods that you have used to stay mentally and emotionally connected while you're away? Like whether it be just with yourself or with the people at home?
I'll go on this one. So it's having the right people to talk to. Like you've got to have. I mean, I don't have a real big circle. That's kind of dropped off over the last 4 or 5 years for me. The circle's a lot smaller, but it's a lot more structured for me. Like just having the right people to talk to. And podcasts are a big thing as well. I think having something positive to listen to. Not that I've listened to as much as what I should have in later years, but I think just having something that you can resonate with. So even real stories from other people that are out on podcasts, I think they do help. I'm not the best at making connections, but believe it or not, on site. So I'm very much a recluse when I've always been on site. So I just stick to myself. I do my thing, and I just look after me. Because when you get involved in all the drama, and as Tegan to know, the purple circles are strong. And if you do not fit in, you do not fit in. And I just don't fit in at all when it comes to them. So I just do my own thing. And having the right people to be able to, I guess, vent to, that helps. For me, anyway.
Yeah, mine, for me, routine was a really big one. And making sure, because it's a balance, right? We're struggling with being lonely on site, but for me, partner and kids at home too, you've still got to try and be that support for them as well, because they're struggling as well. So making sure that we had a structure for communication. Then at the same time every night I was going to call, FaceTime with the kids and make sure that they felt included in a FaceTime call every night. And then during the day, making sure whenever I had a chance to communicate with like my wife at home, making sure that she didn't feel like while I was out that she wasn't like on the forefront of why I was away.
Yep. Very good. Very good. CJ, just take it back a bit further, mate, when you were just talking about like being on site. Go back to like when you were driving trucks, like interstate driving. So you were on your own, like when you were sort of, because you traveled, like you did the interstate from like Victoria up to Queensland and back quite often.
Yep.
So yeah, you got a fairly long distance there. How'd you was there anything different you did then compared to being like on site, or was it sort of much the same? Like, because you're in a truck for hours and hours on your own, like thousands of kilometers. So
I guess when I was driving interstate, like it was more music for me. Something I can sing along to, because I love to have a sing along. So, I'd just belt out the tunes to myself.
Not tonight,
though. No, not tonight. But it's for me like having working with, I guess, a small group of drivers and making a lot of acquaintances and good mates along the way over the course of 20 years. Like you've got certain people that you can talk to about anything and everything to do with driving. So, I mean, that becomes life. Like driving the highway, it's not just a job, it's a lifestyle. So it's the same as mining and civil construction, all those sorts of things. It's a lifestyle. So, I do miss the driving side of things, but what I don't miss is being away from home. So that was always the hardest part, because when doing interstate, you're lucky to be home once a week, site for 24 hours, or sometimes it'll be 2 or 3 weeks being away. So you have a 24-hour break out on the road. So podcast became a very big thing for me. But again, it's just having the right people to talk to.
Yep.
Because you spend anywhere up to 14 hours behind the wheel. So and you can cover 1,200 kilometers plus in a day. So all you're doing is you're worrying about traffic and you're staring at white lines all day, every day. So yeah, like having a good connection base around home, and especially when I was home, having the right people to go and see. Like I don't take work home with me anymore, so it's just being able to chill and catch up, all those sorts of things meant more than anything on weekends where I was home. So yeah.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. And like as Tegan was saying, like regular, like when I went to Queensland for the first time, like in the mining, I was always like my kids. I'd been living away from my kids at the time, like for a while, for a few years then anyway. So, but instead of being like a couple of hours away from them, I was like 14, 15 hours away from them. So I was actually bought them a mobile phone and I would ring them every night, but yeah, regular contact with them because I went up there when I went up to like to Mackay the first time. I didn't unpack my bag for 3 months. I had them ready to put back in my vehicle and head back south because everybody I knew was down south. My kids were the main ones, but yeah, and it's one thing I noticed a lot of people do was like to cope with the loneliness and the isolation was they'd get into like in camps, they'd start drinking and yeah, they just some people would go overboard. Like every night in camp, they'd be drinking in excess of what they should be, and every day they're risking blowing the bag or blowing over because on mine sites you've got to have zero alcohol level and that. But that's what they were using as coping mechanisms. That's one thing I was always adamant that I'd never do.
Very much the same with me too.
Yeah.
It's very easy to fall into though. Very easy. The culture, the culture around drinking on site. I remember when I got into mining 14, 15 years ago, you messed up, it was a carton, and everyone would be down the mess, enjoying your mistake.
That's it. That's
Any
it.
excuse to have a drink.
Yeah,
because I think that's all people have, like on site. Like if they don't have that family base at home to be able to, I guess, get in that routine of being able to talk to them, like drinking is the only other thing they've got because there's not much else on site. Like, I mean, you've got your gym junkies and all that sort of stuff. And, apart from that, like, you've got your healthy side and then you've got your unhealthy side, which unfortunately the drinking side of things outweighs anything good on site, I believe.
It does.
Yeah. And problems at home magnified too. I worked with a lot of people where they hated going to work because they knew shit was going to hit the fan as soon as they got on the plane and left their partner at home with the kids. And even having that family at home, they would rather be down at the pub because they know, as soon as I call home, all I'm going to get is complaints. All I'm going to get is problems. And I can't do anything because I'm here trying to provide something for them back home. And it makes it really hard.
It does.
That's another thing. It's actually not something I had on my list of questions, but you just opened up another thing there, Tegan. Many times I've seen people, I probably more so working away in the mines, I found it, was you had the people at home, like your partners at home. I've seen a lot of this where the partner at home loved the money, loved all that coming in, but they didn't love it when their partner came home from work. And I've seen a lot of relationships break down that, like, due to that sort of thing. Now, I don't know. It's one of those things, like back to, I guess, one of the misconceptions of it, that everything's going to be rosy, you know, like everyone's going to love it. It's going to just boost all the family up and that. But I think that's a big misconception that puts a lot of strain on the families.
Yeah,
And
the
then,
expectations too for people coming home. Like I've been on both sides of it, or three sides of it really. I FIFO'd for 5 years before kids, and then stopped FIFO. And my husband at the time continued FIFOing on 2 and 1 for many years before we separated and I went FIFO myself. But the expectation, or you think the expectation should be when your partner comes home for their time at home, that they're going to help pick up everything that you've been doing for 2 weeks or however long they've been away. And 9 times out of 10, that doesn't really happen, because you've been working 14 hours a day. You don't want to come home and do everything else. But the expectations as a partner, you can't just continue riding and expect the same kind of lifestyle that you have when you're at camp and everything's done for you to follow you back. So like when I was with my ex-husband, it was just like having a fourth child come home, and it was more work having him home than it was when he was away, because you'd get into a routine and you just get stuff done.
Yeah.
And then that routine would just be blown out the window.
Yep. No, that's it. I don't know, when I was doing a lot of like driving many, many years ago, it was with my first wife. She loved the money that I was getting, but she didn't love the fact, because I was doing a lot of stuff for family, for a family business. I was doing all that. She didn't love the fact that I was doing it for family, but she loved all the benefits, all the fringe benefits that came with it. But that's the same as when I'm going back like 30 years now, and I didn't know how to cope with all that. I'd come home and it'd be like I'd be getting bickered at all the time, and all I want to do is rest. And I'm thinking, well, what do I do? I'm providing for the family. I've got an opportunity to bring in some good money. I'm away for a few days, rah, rah, rah. But it puts a lot of strain on you then. But luckily, later on in years down the track, when I was in the mining, when Kat and myself met, I was already working in the mines. I was working away and what have you. So it was good. She never nagged. There was never any issues with us, because I was already doing that. So she didn't have the expectation of, me needing me home, wanting me home. Would do things and that, and probably more so getting cranky at me for not resting when I came home. So I was lucky in that respect, but yeah, it does put a lot of strain with the expectations, and I've seen a lot of marriage breakdowns because of all that. So, all right, we'll move on. This one's, I think, a pretty big one for some people. How do you deal with feelings of guilt or missing out on important life events like birthdays, anniversaries, or kids' milestones? Because that's
I'll let you go on this one, Tegan.
Yeah, it's super hard. I remember, so I only went back to FIFO when my youngest was 2.5, I think she was. And I was quite fortunate to not miss a Mother's Day until last year. And I remember going up to site, and like it cut me really deep. And I think it's something that you said before, CJ, was making sure that you do have the right people around you that can see when you're struggling, because sometimes you might not want to admit it, and being open to having those feelings. I remember going back to work, and I don't know if it's because I was a FIFO mum, the judgment that you would get because you're leaving your kids. So you're already feeling guilty that you're spending time away from them there and missing out on birthdays and Mother's Day or Easter. But then you've got people going, I could never be away from my kids. If I have kids, I'm never going back to FIFO. I'm like, well, good for you, mate. Like, I enjoy the life that I'm providing my kids, and needs must. Like when I separated from my ex-husband, the only thing I'd ever done was mining, and the only way to support myself was to go back to FIFO. And we did try residential in the Pilbara for a few years, but the services there, when you've got young kids, the medical facilities aren't there. The education system isn't as good. So if you do have a child with special needs, like, they need to be in the city, and you need access to those things. So I think trying to weigh up the pros and cons of what you can provide while you're away, and how it could be different if you didn't work away, if that makes sense.
Yep. So for me,
the things they could be missing out on if you didn't work away.
So unfortunately, like for me, I still bear the guilt of not coming back to Victoria when my dad was sick. So it's a hard one to talk about. But years back, he had a heart attack, and so for 10 years we didn't talk. It wasn't my choice, but he wanted nothing to do with me. We were told he would change. I was the change, unfortunately. But we recently reconnected right before I went to Western Australia to go and work. And it was probably about 3 months into being over in Western Australia during COVID, where they locked all the borders. So if I had gone back to Victoria, I was going to be stuck in Victoria. So the guilt that I've got is that I chose money at the time because I wasn't financially stable enough back then to make it work, to be stuck there for 3 months without an income. So it's not easy to deal with. It's something I think about every day. And that's why, you know, when Mum was sick, I made every opportunity I could to go and see her. And when it came time for her to pass, like, I chose her over work first and foremost, because I didn't do that with Dad. So to have that guilt of choosing money over, I guess, life and a situation you can never get back, and time with someone that you can never get back, it tears you apart daily. So, you know, dealing with the guilt is hard. It really is. But having those right people, like my circle is probably only a handful these days, but I can talk to each one of those openly and candidly, and, you know, you can bounce off each other and feed off each other. So without those people in my life, I'd be a wreck, absolute wreck.
Yeah, I'm a big one for pros and cons lists. So whenever I was feeling guilty about a certain situation, I'd write a list and say, well, if I didn't do this, what are the cons, and weigh it up like that, and then breaking it down into small goals. Every swing, every couple of days, yep, I've got that out of the way. Focus on the next 2 days, and just sort of cope like that.
Yeah,
I actually like that idea. I've never thought about doing a pros and cons list, so I like that.
Yeah, it sort of comes down to weighing it all up, doesn't it? What's more important at the time? Having guilt, it can eat away at us for a long period, but yeah, weighing it up, I think, is a better way. You know, is it going to be beneficial to do this or to do this? Like, yeah, weighing it up, as you say, pros and cons. Like, one time for me that comes up is when I was working up in central Queensland. My eldest daughter, it was her 16th birthday, and we had just finished up. I think we'd just finished up with at a mine site, like 300 of us had been made redundant. So there was everyone had like organised to go to a radio up there. So I had the option, do I go to the radio and get on the piss with all the blokes, or do I go travel back to New South Wales, like 14, 15 hours away, go to my daughter's 16th. I wanted to be there, but I didn't really want to go there and face my ex. Well, not face my ex, just be around my ex because, yeah, we didn't see eye to eye. But at the end of the day, I made the decision. I weighed it up. And I thought, well, my daughter's only going to turn 16 once. I can go to a radio anytime. Yeah, I missed out on a big event with all workmates and all that, but it's one of those things. And at the end of the day, I don't regret those decisions. And I think, it's something that I think the guilt will roll into later on too, is regret, which you can't let it roll into regret, because that'll eat away even more, because it just eats away constantly. So as I say, having pros and cons is probably a very good way of doing it. Like if you start getting those guilty feelings, write down the pros and cons list and weigh it up that way.
Yeah, it's very helpful for me. And I think it comes down to as long as you're making the best effort you can to support the people you have at home and the reason why you're away, it doesn't, for me, hasn't led to too much regret, having those lists and making sure I feel like I'm doing everything within my power to support the reasons why I'm away.
Yeah. No, perfect. All right. What was one of the biggest challenges you faced when you first started working away, and how'd you overcome it?
Oh, I remember my very first FIFO, my very first FIFO job was in the gold fields, and very similar to your story earlier about the lack of phone reception. And we had two concrete steps in the car park where you could get phone reception, and obviously everyone's there in the afternoon. The Wi-Fi at camp, actually, the Wi-Fi was non-existent unless you were at the pub, so that not having the communication with, I wouldn't talk to my family essentially for 2 weeks at a time, and then home, and everyone would try and catch up with you, but you'll go out for dinner, and I don't know if it's the same experience that you guys have, but because you're on better money, everyone expects you to shout them. So you'd come home and everyone would think you're all cashed up and you're expected to pay for dinner and drinks when you go out. So everyone appears to be making the effort to see and connect with you, but you're left with the bill at the end of it. So
I had something different. So every time I came home, I was the one that was expected to travel to everyone else because I drove for a living. So, they
and you've got
expect you
time, right? You're on days off.
Apparently when you got 24 hours off, you've got time to travel 500-600 kilometers to go and see someone. But this became a big habit that everyone expected me to go to them, and I just stopped because I needed to worry about me and my goals and my life around me at the time. So, I was living with mates, so that was all good. Back then I was drinking rather heavily. Every single weekend I was home, but I was saving for a house at the same time. So, my goals started to change to what theirs were. So, looking back, if I could have done something different, I'd just literally stop with everyone, because not everyone's on the same wavelength. Not everyone has the same goals and dreams and aspirations as what we all do. So, when I started making changes for me, everybody just stopped with me. So for me now, I just don't bother. I just keep to myself. I do my thing. I concentrate on my life, my goals, my friends, and what family I've got left. But yeah.
Cool. Very good. We'll do one last question, then we'll see if anyone's got anything. Just want to be mindful of time for everyone too. What's one piece of advice you wish someone had given you before you started working away in whatever you were doing? Like and how how would, or how, what's one piece of advice you wish someone had given you before you had started doing all that?
Don't take work
money's not
home.
everything.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're right.
No,
You go.
Yeah, but money's not everything.
Yeah, right.
It might look all shiny and exciting, but yeah, be savvy with the money. Don't get used to it.
Yeah, it's good to use it to get ahead, like pay a few things off. Like if you've got debt, then yes, pay the debts off so you can live a little bit easier so you don't, excuse me, need to earn as much. And that's where I'm at now. Sorry. Money isn't everything, but I think my biggest thing is don't take work home with you. Leave work at work. I wish someone had said that to me and reiterated it time and time again, because there was a lot of times where you'd take the frustrations of your working week home with you, and then your friends and family cop all what you've had to deal with. So back in my earlier days, I didn't have a good connection base to be able to just talk things out without coming across as being angry all the time. So yeah, like having no work at home now is fantastic for me, because I just leave work at work. I refuse to bring it home with me.
Yep. Well, very cool. Very cool. One thing that sort of has come to mind for me at different points is like with someone if someone could have given me advice or information or whatever, would be to actually sit down with my partner and discuss the whole thing properly. As I said, like many years ago when I started driving, like when my older kids were little, so I'm going back like about 30 years ago, or nearly 30 years ago. My ex didn't understand. All she could see was all the benefits. She was loving all the benefits that we're getting, and all the perks, but everything else she didn't love. And that's to explain it all, sit us down and explain the whole thing properly. But yeah, you're going to be away, it's going to be hard, blah, blah, blah. That would have been valuable for me at the time. It would have been less stress on me.
Yeah, I feel that one too, Craig. It's I've been in the same boat, whereas you're earning really good money and you're expected to supply all that money all the time. But there was an instance there. I was in a relationship with someone who wanted me home 24/7, but wanted me away to turn around and earn all the money. Well, it doesn't work both ways.
Mm-mm.
So you've got it. There's sacrifice, like being prepared for the sacrifice of being away and losing out on birthdays, all those sorts of things, like all the events. It's yeah. It's a bit hard to explain, but
no, that's it. It's like it's a big culture shock. It's a big lifestyle change when you're away. As I said, if the person at home doesn't understand fully what it's all about, doesn't get the whole concept of it, how hard it's going to be for you, how hard it's going to be for them at times, that can cause a big rift. And that's where I think, it needs to be. And I think when one of the biggest things, I think, when you're starting to feel the loneliness of the isolation, when it's starting to get to you, the stress, you need to really talk about it. Like, not to bottle stuff up. That's probably one of the biggest things. And I think the first port of call needs to be your partner at home, whoever's at home, or someone close to you, so they can understand what you're going through, and it doesn't cause that tension. And ultimately, as I said, like I've seen, and everyone's probably seen it, but a lot of relationship breakdowns because I get mining, transport, and hospitality industries. I know it's not on the topic here, hospitality, but they are the biggest industries that cause a lot of problems and like the hardest on relationships.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, everyone's like starry-eyed and think, with the mining, construction, and transport industry, people see dollar signs, And well, even with the hospitality industry, people see dollar signs, but yeah, it's not all it's cracked up to be. So, but yeah,
No, and it's that misconception's still there. Like I'm on several mining and FIFO pages, and everyone's cutting each other's throats to try and get FIFO jobs. And I don't think like I got into mining as a single 18, 19 year old before it was cool, like, you know what I mean, 14 years ago. And now everyone still thinks it's rainbows and pots of gold, and it's not all it's cracked up to be.
so
No, it's not.
I've had people ask me over the years, oh, how do I get into the mines? Because like when they find out I used to work in the mines, and I actually,
get it
first
all
thing
the
I
time.
say to them is, just hold up a sec. It's not all it's cracked up to be. Yeah, and they, oh, why? Yeah, like the money's good, but the conditions, there is a reason why you get paid bigger money when you're working away is because of the conditions that you've got to endure. Yeah, they're good conditions. Like they're not like third world conditions, but
No,
yeah,
some of
Some
it
are.
can be.
yeah, like
Stayed at some pretty dodgy places.
yeah, like being isolated and away from your family and loved ones, that's the hardest thing. And that's what they're trying to compensate you for. And that's why I tell people it's not all sunshine and rainbows, like don't
No, the
just go all
novelty's there for
starry-eyed.
about three swings.
No,
Three swings, and it's not shiny anymore.
No.
no. That's it. All right. Well, just try and keep this down a bit. So has anyone else got any questions that they want to ask anyone or bring up? Ask anything?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind asking. I've only got experience from the other side of maritime and military as well, so
Yep.
obviously not within the
Yep.
mining place. But do you get provided? I know you obviously get paid for compensated for being away from home, but do you actually get provided any support? Because obviously I know the military is big on it. Maritime's sort of coming up to speed a bit, but what about the mining industry? Do you get any support, or is it you get paid a lot of money, you deal with it yourself kind of thing?
No, so all of the bigger mining companies that I've worked for, they all have EAPs, and they are pretty big on
Mm,
mental health. It's a lot bigger than it was, say,
yeah.
10, 12, 15 years ago, where there was none of that. But yeah, companies like BSS and the company I work for have peer supporters who are
Oh, good.
trained
Yeah. So you're
to
not left completely because I was like, yeah, I know
no.
what some of these companies are like from over here, like drilling offshore here. It's terrible, but yeah.
Yeah, no, our
Mm,
company has peer supporters that are trained in like crisis management and
yeah.
noticing people and being that confidential support, because
Oh, that's
every
handy.
site's different. There's going to be
Mm,
toxic sites, and you might not have the same nice group of people to rely on.
yeah.
But yeah, they all provide some sort of EAP or
Yeah.
like BSS support.
On that, when you said that, Tegan, like years back, 10 odd years ago, it probably wasn't as big. Well, you're right. They did have EAP when I was working in the mines, like the what is it, employee assistance
Employee
program.
assistance programs, yeah.
Yeah. But one of the situations I faced when I was working for a company called McMahon, they're a mining contractor. I was working for them in Queensland, and mine site we were on, there was about 300 of us employed by McMahon, and we all got made redundant like that. And it was just around the time of that global financial crisis in 2008. And at the time, I was a shift supervisor, and I found out about it on our break just the day before we were going back to work, back to shift. So when we got back there, they called all the supervisors and leading hands into a room and had a chat to us. And they said, they had all these people there, like all these EAP people and that. But they said to us, just watch your people. Just keep an eye on your people. And if they need the support, you know, just go through all the motions, rah, rah, rah. So they were all the hierarchy were telling us to focus on all the people. And I actually turned around and said to them, so who's watching us and who's going to take care of us? And they went, They had no idea. They didn't think of that. So we were basically, all the supervisors, we were just left to fend for ourselves, so to speak, because all the EAP people they had there, all these type of people, were all focused on all the workers, but no one was there looking after the supervisors. We were supposed to put our big boy pants on, so to speak, and look after everybody below us. But even the ones above us weren't there to support. So in some, that's going back, let's go back 17 years, 16, 17 years ago, I think, too. So it's good that things have changed.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not as big of a stigma. Like I remember working for a company, and if you did use the BSS or the EAP, your company was notified, right? And I had a supervisor come and ask me why I was like, well, that's none of your business. It's a much more confidential now, and it's a lot less stigmatized if you do need to use the service. But a lot of people that have been in the industries for a really long time still have that connection with work supplied EAPs, and there's reluctance to use them.
Yep. No, that's it. So that answers your question, Angela?
Yes, it did. Yeah,
cool,
it's interesting because it's kind of, even in corporate and things like you were saying, Tegan, it's still got a stigma against it because people still know, and you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, aren't you, when it comes to workplace support, I think.
No, that's it.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? No. No, all good. All right. I've got a couple of things. What I'll do when I email out this recording to everyone, I've got a couple of different, like, I guess, little strategies here that that could be helpful in certain situations, like when you're feeling the pressures of being away, and when the loneliness, isolation, or anything kicks in, when you're starting to miss home and that. I'll throw these all in an email with the recording, but just to touch on a couple. So one is like a personal wins journal. So basically, like grabbing a book, or we've got another method that we're doing at home at the moment, but so documenting your achievements, any growth moments, any positive moments, any wins that you have, and keeping a record of them. And if you sort of feeling a bit down, or you're thinking, oh, is this really worth it? Look through all that, and it gives you that reminder that you're doing what you're doing that for, or gives you that boost again. One thing that we're doing at home at the moment, we started at the beginning of the year. Someone I know was doing something similar, and we got the idea off them. We've got a jar, and the whole family's doing it. McKenna, we're writing it down for McKenna. We've got a notepad next to the jar. So any wins that we have, any achievements that we have, we're writing them down and throwing them in the jar. And we still haven't decided how often we're going to look, whether it's going to be like 3, 6, or 12 months, but we're going to pull everything out of the jar at some point, and we're going to sit there and look through it all and go, oh yeah. So it just gives you that, I guess, reassurance that you're doing things for a reason. Gives you that confidence boost, gives you that high that picks you up. Same sort of thing as a journal. Like some people don't like journaling. I don't journal. But yeah, just jotting down, making notes of wins or positive moments or achievements. It can help boost things along, like help keep you going.
I think another good thing too is to allow yourself to celebrate the wins.
Yes.
And that's something that I struggled with for a long time, because you become so work orientated that you forget about feeding the inner child. So that's something I've learned in the last 4 or 5 years, is to just give myself permission to be happy and buy something for myself. It doesn't have to be much at all, but don't take the guilt of I guess losing money, because you can always make money, but you can't always get the little things that you want. So it's just, yeah, I think that's a big thing.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
was going to actually, touch on that one too. Yeah, celebrating wins, no matter how small.
Yep.
And as you said, doesn't have to be anything big. You know, you might, I don't know, you might want to go out for dinner or take your partner out for dinner. Use that as a reward for, to celebrate your wins or celebrate your achievements. Celebrate a milestone, so when something good happens. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I think for me too, I wish I had have set myself goals earlier on when I was starting FIFO and
yep.
create a list of skills or qualifications that would allow me to not have to be working away for forever.
Yep.
So having some sort of exit strategy, or when I achieve this, yep, I'm going to get out of it.
Yep.
Instead of just being stuck in the cycle of
Yep.
being away. And like I've been able to do that in my 30s, but I could have done it in my 20s.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah. Goals are definitely a big, important one, because people lose sight of what the end goal is or what the end game is. And it's not just because of the money and all that. It's like when our mind gets clouded with all the downside, like the down parts, when we start getting all the that isolation feeling, the loneliness, and when our mental state starts going down, we lose sight of what we're actually aiming for. So yeah, having goals set out is a good one, and a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, even breaking the goals down to be able to celebrate, like you said,
Yep.
CJ.
Yep.
Like say your goal is to pay off 150 grand on your mortgage. Like you could celebrate in small increments. Like shit, like I'm a quarter of the way through my main goal, like and allowing yourself to like enjoy and be proud of yourself for what we're achieving.
Yep. I mean, for me, my biggest celebration, well, there's two. Like, buying my first brand new car was probably, say 16 odd years ago now. And then finally paying that off, that was one of the biggest things for me. And then when I bought my first house, that was another milestone. And I didn't really celebrate it. It was just one of those things I went and did. I just went and bought a house. But, that was something, as a younger person, I had the dreams and the goals when I was self-employed to have all that, but certain circumstances took all that away from me. So then I fell back into that whole working process, and I just got stuck in that rut. It was just constant work. So when I've made those two purchases, like, just feeling good about myself. Like they were two of my biggest milestones that I've felt amazing, because I've actually done something. And I'm the black sheep of the family, as they call it. So, to come out on top of, unfortunately, my sister, but that's a whole nother conversation.
We've probably got a lot in common then, I think.
Like,
And here.
I've worked my butt off to turn around and have the things I've got now, and I've worked my butt off for everything I've lost at the same time. So, still being here, still plugging away, just doing my thing. It's just a fantastic feeling overall in my later 40s. So, I was never pushed when I was in my early, so late teens, early 20s, by anyone to turn around and have something good for myself. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Very good. Very good. There's one other thing. Like I've got a list of these little strategies there. One other thing I will touch on, because it's probably easy to explain like this, but is in the NLP circles, we class it as anchoring, but it's like a simpler way to is like emotional strength symbolization. So basically, create like choosing a symbol that represents emotional strength to you. So you could draw or visualize some sort of symbol. So anything you want, pretty much. that so when you if you're sort of feeling down, like you're really getting down, and you need that sort of mind reset sort of thing, is imagine, like visualize that symbol that is attached to a good moment, like that's an achievement or something, you know. I can go in a lot more detail, but it's sort of haven't really got the time. But basically, draw or visualize a symbol when you need to tap into resilience. So it's just like it reframes your mind, like it sort of pulls you out of a like your lull. It's called like it's basically called anchoring. So you could picture, I don't know, you have a little rock, for example, like I've got this little stone. It's, for me, something like this. I pick this little thing up. It's just like a little smooth gemstone thing. And I pick it up and I just start rubbing it with my finger. And it's not molesting, and it's just rubbing it. And it's like a calming, I find when I do that, it's like a calming sensation comes over me. And it just takes, like, I'll pick it up when I'm frustrated. When I'm sitting here in front of the computer, I'll start getting frustrated. It sits there, I just pick it up and I'll just sit there and rub it, and it changes the whole mood. It just gives me that little calming thing. So I guess that's probably the easiest way to explain it in such a short time. Like, it's having something where it's like you don't have to physically have something, just a symbolization, something that you can visualize that'll just change your mood. So it'll pick you up. If you're feeling a bit down, that'll just bring you back. I think of a good time, some time in your past that was a really happy time, that basically it'll go bang. You start thinking of that when you're down, and bang, brings you out of that downer where you're missing home, you're feeling lousy, you're feeling lonely, isolated, and it'll help you bring you back to a moment, like pick your mood up. So
Question for you on that, Craig.
Yeah.
Does it have to be sort of like something of a, I know you're talking about a symbol of sorts. Can it be a person?
Yeah, absolutely. Like this is a very simplified. It's like anchoring and like reframing. It's reframing your mind from being in a down situation, a down mood. It's reframing it to be in a happy mood, like it brings you back into a. So if you can think of a person that you can do anything. It can be just like a little fist bump too, or like a tap on the chest, rubbing of the ear. Like there's a method. There is a procedure and a method to do an anchoring, like to do anchoring properly. But this is just a simple thing you can do to help pick your mood back up. So it could be thinking of a person, like a happy time, a time where you were over the moon, where you were just sort of really happy that nothing could dampen that. You could, when you're in a real lull or a low, you could sort of, and it's not a lot of all getting out of your down or negative mental state is actually recognizing when you're there and being able to flip it and bring yourself, like get out of it, do something to get yourself out of it. Not so much fixing the problem altogether. Like, we're only human. We're not machines. So, as I say, a lot of the key to it is recognizing it fairly quick, so to think, like recognizing it sooner and being able to bring yourself out. So if you're, as I say, if you're in a real low, and for you, if it works, thinking of a person that gave you ultimate joy, or whatever the case may be, great, do that.
I had a folder on my phone of like videos and photos of the kids. Yep. So when I was down and I was on site, I'd open that, photos, videos, kids laughing, like memories in that folder, and I'd scroll through that and be like, yeah,
Yep.
I'm good.
That's the go. I know for Kat, poor Kat, like in the early stage, if I was getting down or lonely or whatever at site, I'd ring her up. I didn't care what time it was. I'd wake her up at 2 o'clock in the morning. She used to hate that. But no. All right. So I'll look, there's a few there. I'll email those through. As I said, I want to be mindful of time. So I'll email them through with the recording. So I'm going to send the recording through to everyone on here that's on here now. It'll come through tomorrow. One thing I do want to, I was decided I was going to offer everybody on this call, or mention, was I have a 5-day mindset reboot program challenge, however you want to label it, that I recently ran through like a beta test. Chris actually did go through it on the beta test. So in a minute, Chris, if you want to say anything about it, nice about it, you're quite welcome to jump on unmute and say. But basically, I want to put that out to everybody that I've got that there. It's run through like a group strategy. So not like getting on a group call like this. It's through like I've created a Facebook group. So basically over the 5 days, there's 5 different steps to it. It's not a fix everything. It's like a lead into mindset. It's a mindset reboot. So it's basically all about flipping the script, giving strategies and tips and methods to turn it all around.
Yeah, I'll put my hand up for something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as I said, it'll run through a group, and I'll do how it's going to. I'll give you a brief rundown on it. It'll be like a daily video uploaded into a group over 5 days. But in saying all that, you've still got full support and accountability from me. It's just that it's because when I did the beta test, I did it one-on-one with everybody, and it was a lot of time, a lot of effort doing one-on-ones with everybody and repeating it over and over again. So we decided to go a group, do it via a group strategy and I've done challenges like this with other people, like with other coaches, and jumped into their challenges, and they're done very much like this, and they're very successful that way. So, but with me, there's full accountability, can't even speak now, full accountability and support. So, and having it in through a group environment, you've got the group support over the rest of the group there. If you're not comfortable putting something into the group that other people can see, you can reach out to me personally. Now, I have put a cost on it, a price on it.
I'm going to cut in here, Craig.
What?
I've actually, during this webinar, I've actually done up a coupon code. So I haven't discussed this with Craig. So it's a 25% off. I've created a coupon code, which I'll pop it in the chat. So it's 25%.
All right. So, all right. Well, okay. So that's.
This is throwing him now.
It's throwing me. All right. So, well, basically, all right. I'll go back to what I put a price on of $99, right, for 5 days. And what I think Chris might agree that that's a pretty much a bargain for what you get out of it. So obviously 25% off. What's that going to bring it down to? About $75. Something like that. Okay. All right. Yeah. There you go. All right. So yeah. All right. What I'll do is I'll put the link. I'll send everyone.
I was going to say, send us the link, and I'll share it as well. Then, Craig, sounds like a really good deal. To be fair.
Give me 2 secs. I'll put the link in here. I'm going to find it now. I did have it there.
We can also pop it in the email as well.
Yeah, I will. I'll put it in the email as well. But look, I'll put this in the chat. Yep. This is the link for. No, that link will take you to the landing page for the mindset reboot, and it explains a lot more in there. Then it'll runs
I've
through it a lot better in there. A
also
lot more.
added
Hey?
on that. I've also added something else in. There's a bonus. We had discussed this, but we hadn't finalised it. But I've popped it in. Is a bonus 60-minute coaching session with Craig. Once you've completed the 5-day mindset reboot challenge, so he will give up 60 minutes of his time and do a coaching session with you, just to see where you are at and if he can help you in any other ways.
This is the last
That's
time.
valued at $297.
This is the last time you're going to jump on a Zoom call with me.
Hey, I make the decisions.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
That's it.
Yeah, well, she's down in the other room. Not like Kat's setup is next to mine, but we can't be in the same room because it echoes back. So I've sent her off to the other room for this as a backup. But
payback, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's probably it. Okay,
well,
so
he makes many
right,
decisions without me.
Yeah, no, that's it. So we did discuss it, but we didn't actually end up finalising it. So all right. So at the end of that 5-day challenge, there's a 60-minute one-on-one coaching session with me as well. So that's more value to that $99 wall for everyone on here, and everyone that's going to get the recording. They'll get that discount if you're interested. So all right, Chris, did you want to say something?
Yeah, absolutely. At the time that Craig approached me about this challenge that he was working on, I'd just been made redundant from my job for 19 years out of the blue. And I was sort of a little bit lost, and I was thinking, what the hell am I going to do? I was actually relieved for losing my job, being paid a redundancy. It wasn't a fly-in, fly-out or anything like that, like what you guys had to deal with. But as I said, it was 19 years and just came completely out of the blue. I thought they'd be going the other way and making more work. But it's sort of, I guess, what do I do next was what my biggest problems were, and I sort of didn't know what to do. I was sort of a lot lost. And I was looking forward to being semi-retired for a couple of months, but that was about it. So, this thing that he was working on came up really well, and it gave me direction. It gave me motivation and inspiration. And I would definitely do it again, especially at those sorts of prices. I mean, we even discussed the price at the end of it, what I thought the price would be and everything like that. So that's a very reasonable, better than reasonable for the price. So I'd do it again anytime, because it just gives you a little bit more of a, as I said, motivational, inspirational boost, and a little bit of direction was exactly what I needed at the time. So it just came out of the blue, but it was really good.
One thing I had when I did that beta test with it, I had a couple of people that are actually coaches that jumped on it with me that did the beta test, and some of the different things we went through, they admitted that yes, they'd been through that before, but they hadn't done any of that or run through any of that for a long time, and it gave them. They all admitted, everyone admitted, it gave them a big kick up the backside to actually implement that again or start doing that again. And everyone gave me a good review on it, like gave a testimonial on it, which, I'm happy to hand over to anyone that wants to hear it, but or read them. But like as I say, it's just, it was a beta testing that I will wonder how this will go, but it's for anybody at any level. So, but as I say, if any of you guys are interested in that, Kat's done a 25% discount on it. I better not let her near any of my other programs.
Tell her that it's 25% more than it actually is then.
Sorry.
Bump up the price by 25% before it's cut.
No, she won't do that. No, that's all good. No. So all right. Well, look, that and so that link that I put in there in the chat there is for that challenge. It takes you to the landing page. It explains everything. Kat's put that discount code in there. So if everyone's interested, yeah, go for it. You're on mute, Kat.
We'll pop it in the email as well, the
Yep.
code in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got that set up to expire. That code will expire Wednesday. Next
About a
Wednesday,
week.
midnight.
Yeah. All right. I probably do think, in fairness to everybody that's actually jumped on here tonight and the ones that have registered, I think we might just only that discount code. I think we might just use that for just like these people. So look, more than welcome to pass that link on to anyone else. But I don't know. What do you think, Kat, about that discount code? Like, I don't know, since how you decided to throw that in, like.
I'm easy either way.
Well, look, all right. How's this? I'll leave it up to everyone's judgment. If you know anybody that would be interested in doing that,
Yep.
if you feel you want to give them the code, go for it. If not, you give them the link. That's fine. But yeah, yeah. Well, it expires on midnight. When did you say midnight Wednesday?
Midnight Wednesday.
Yeah. So, but that I'm doing them. I'll look at running them every couple of weeks if need be. So it's a 5-day challenge, but then I won't
Next
start.
one will be the 2nd of April. We start 7th of April, I should say. The next one will start.
Yeah, right. So Monday the 7th. So there's Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've sort of every couple of weeks we run them. So yeah. So that link for that challenge, that stays the same all the time. The date will change on there as they change, one challenge starts and it'll change to the next one. So all good. All right. Anyone else got anything they want to add before we wrap up?
No, I'm pretty good.
Craig.
Sorry, Murray. Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to at some point, if I could, add another layer to what was spoken about tonight. As you know, with my working sort of situation, it's a little bit different than the FIFO situation, although it's sort of related. I basically supply product and services to the mining industry, as well as the maritime and all industries. And the extra layer that we've got that I could probably add is, I tend to stay in sort of nice motels and do a lot of entertaining and eat nice food and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And people get quite envious of that sort of thing, but there's a different layer of sort of expectation, and with that, you also got the sales pressure as well to achieve sales from management. So I think that'll be, it'll give a different spin to that conversation.
Yeah. No, well, that's actually, well, that gives me another idea of even doing another one of these again. If you'd be, if you'd be interested in, we can sort of, as you say, like put another spin on things there. If you'd be up for that down the track, Murray. You're going on mute. You muted yourself. I don't know. Yeah,
I'm on there.
Yep. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do that if you want to do another one. Yeah,
mate. Yeah, no. Look, by all means. Yeah. We can do something. To certainly do something there, because the whole thing is with these panel masterminds is to give different perspectives of different across different industries, because everyone faces something different, and each industry has different issues. Like we've got a list of different topics we want to do, and look, I'd love to do different perspectives for different people. Yeah, because for sure.
Yep. Not a problem.
I'll definitely talk to you about it in the near future for sure.
Yeah, give me 4 weeks, mate. I won't be back on the bike for about 4 or 5 weeks.
No, that's all right. That's all right. I'll definitely talk to you again. Yeah, very soon about that. So yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
All good. All good. All right. I think that was about all I really had. So yeah, everyone, nothing else. Thank you very much. Thanks for jumping on the panel, Tegan and CJ. And thank you, Chris,
Anytime.
Angela, and Murray for being here live.
Thank you.
I hope you got
It's really
something out of it.
Yeah, nice to meet you all.
Yeah. And thank you very much for all that. And I will get I'll get this recording and that other stuff out to you tomorrow. I'll email it out. So check your emails. It will come out email now. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at everyone's email address, but some of them I've got to send from a different email. But just check your spam folder as per normal. If it doesn't come through, just check your spam folder. But it'll be out by lunchtime. You'll have it by lunchtime tomorrow. What time is it for you, Angela? Because you're in
It
the UK.
is. Yeah, it's 10:30 in the morning. So normally I luck out on the Australian calls. It's either like well past my bedtime or I have to stay up. But I was
Okay,
kind
so
of
this
freezing.
actually
So this
works
is
out a good
9 o'clock.
time then. Yeah, righto.
It is a
Cool.
good time, yeah.
Yeah, I know
You
it's not
normally
a
miss
real
out
good
in the
time.
UK.
I don't think it's a real good time for in the States, but no, that's handy to know that. All right, so yeah, look, it'll be out by the time you get up tomorrow morning. You'll have it by then. So.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's been really good to meet you all as well.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you all for that. Appreciate you
Take
coming
care.
on. And have a fantastic evening, fantastic day, Angela. All right.
See you later.
See you all.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye-bye.